Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Gold Rush Mastermind for my beautiful Australian and New Zealand friends. And of course, always our American friends and everybody else around the world. I'm your host, Tony Taylor, and some of you know me, and I'm super excited and really appreciate you showing up and taking the time to have a listen to our Gold Rush Mastermind. So it is a bit of an open forum, but I do tend to get a little bit on the soapbox a bit, just so I can share some information with you. And of course, what this particular subject is I'm sure you've all showed up because you want to learn a little bit more about sound money. Does everybody know what that means? Sound money. Anybody? Show of hands. Sound money. It's also known, it's just actually just a fancy name for gold and silver is what it is. But I also like to refer to it as God's money because God made it right out of the ground. So, you know, it was here right when God was creating the earth. And so they refer to gold and silver, precious metals, as God's money. Does anybody know what the word fiat means? Do you even know what fiat is? Does anybody know what fiat is? Fiat currency?
Heard of it.
How do you spell it? F-I-A-T?
F-I-A-T. F-I-A-T. Fiat, which is, you know, US dollars, pesos, Canadian loonie, you know, euro, pound, yen, whatever. This is fiat. Fiat in Latin means currency by force. Isn't that interesting? So what's interesting to know that this is where people don't know the difference between money and currency. And there's a big distinction between the two, because this, even though we call it money, is not money. This is currency. This is fiat. Okay. So I'd like to play a little video just to give you a little bit of an insight about the difference, because there are far smarter people than me that explain it much more eloquently than I do. But that's basically the Cole's notes on fiat versus fiat currency versus money. So let me share my screen and I will play a quick video for you. This is, when I saw this video, I thought, oh, this is just brilliant. I love it. This is great. Here we go. Oh, what happened to my Firefox? Oh, my Firefox has disappeared. I don't know why my Firefox has disappeared. Interesting. Can anybody see my screen? Can you all see my screen? Can you see that?
No.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's no bueno, is it? Let me try again. Still nothing? Okay, let me stop sharing for just 1 second. Isn't that weird that it's, of course, you know, once you do all the testing, you know, it's all good until you actually put it into, like, you know, real. Let me just circulate it and see if that will help a little bit and see that. So I've got that up. Okay, let's try this one more time. Let's share again, because it was opening just fine earlier.
Can we just get everyone else to mute who's not talking, please?
Isn't that interesting? It says, okay, I see why. For some reason, my update has stopped my systems from opening for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, which is interesting because it wasn't doing that. It wasn't doing that earlier. I'm sorry, everybody. We'll get it all sorted, as they say. Okay, where's my Zoom? Zoom. Let's see. Well, this is a bit of a pickle, isn't it? It's kind of hard to share a movie. It's hard to share a movie when it won't come up, isn't it?
Do you want me to try on my end?
Yeah, honey, will you try on your end?
What's the movie link?
You got to go to freedomgoldrush.com. freedomgoldrush.com. It's very strange, isn't it? It says I have to give my systems what do you call it? That's very strange. I don't know why it wasn't doing that earlier when I was trying to do it. That's very strange.
Okay, I see a movie called Wealth Strategies. Is that it?
If you scroll down, it says real versus fake.
Okay. I'll share my screen.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, I just love it when a plan comes together. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Hey, Lisa, I don't think you were on the call when I said that the gentleman on this screen is my brother Keith.
Okay, so you got to just scroll down a little bit.
I will.
And oh, that looks really good. Thank you, Dr. Kim. There it is. Beautiful. Oh, I need to get, I'm gonna have to, boy, look at her go with all her.
Ready?
Little, yes, please. Thank you.
In 2008, the world was given a wake-up call. The biggest financial crash in human history was delayed by the same poor decisions that brought it about in the first place. What that massive bailout bought us was not a solution, but merely time. Time for the people responsible to wring the last few dollars out of a dying system. But also, for those able to see the cliff edge approaching, time to protect themselves and their families from the imminent plunge. And in the end, that time may prove to be the most valuable commodity of all.
There are these brief moments in history where the safe haven asset for the last 5,000 years simultaneously becomes the asset class that has the greatest single potential gains in purchasing power. We're in one of these cycles right now where money is the best investment. Get out of currency, buy money, and you're probably going to be able to buy a whole lot more stuff later. But the best thing that people can do of all is really to take on their own responsibility for getting financially educated. This is the most important thing. Don't let the banks and the brokerage houses and other people guide all of your decisions. Find out what's going on for yourself. Empower yourself.
At Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, delegates from 44 allied and associate countries arrived for the opening of the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference.
Our story begins in 1944. With World War II coming to an end, the Allied nations met at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, to create a new financial system which would stabilize the world once the war ended. With America poised to enter a golden age of prosperity, the U.S. dollar was chosen as the world's reserve currency.
The Bretton Woods system was created after the Second World War at the Bretton Woods Conference in New Hampshire. And rather than using gold as the means of exchange between countries, as was the case under the old gold standard, the dollar was going to be used. The dollar was chosen because back then it was as good as gold.
Under this new system, countries agreed to fix their currencies to the U.S. dollar, and the U.S. dollar would be tied to gold at a price of $35 per ounce. This meant that countries around the world could trade their currencies for U.S. dollars, which they could then exchange for gold. This created a system where all currencies were essentially backed by gold. To avoid the logistics of shipping physical gold across the world, when countries did exchange their currencies for gold, it was usually stored safely in the U.S.
Under the Bretton Woods system, you could exchange your currency or your dollars for gold. Now, it only applied to foreign countries and central banks. And we began to run budget deficits. We were running the Great Society program under Lyndon Johnson, and we were fighting a war in Vietnam. And all of a sudden, we were running these deficits, and countries were changing their dollars, and they said they wanted gold. And it began with the French, and then it started to spread.
With all the new spending programs in the United States, other countries became concerned that the U.S. was spending more money than it had gold reserves. They started exchanging their dollars for gold and demanded physical delivery, as they felt that there were more dollars being printed than the gold that backed it. To prevent this outflow of gold from American vaults, President Nixon called for an emergency suspension of the gold convertibility system.
I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets.
All of the problems that we see today in the monetary system are a direct result of the decision made in August 15th, 1971, to abandon fixed link back to gold. What gold did is it provided discipline on governments, provided discipline on government spending.
By removing the link between gold and the US dollar, President Nixon created a system where all currencies were backed by nothing. This is what is known as a fiat currency.
Fiat currency is currency that's backed by nothing except government promises. The word fiat is a Latin word, and it basically means currency that's circulating by force. If people have confidence in that currency, and if there's enough government force, that will enable the currency to circulate for a period of time until people lose confidence in the currency.
There is no nation on this planet that currently uses money. We all use currency. There will come a day when everybody knows the difference.
Money is a medium of exchange, and the way it has evolved is that it's always something of intrinsic value until the modern age, when the politicians say, well, we don't need anything of intrinsic value anymore. All we need is political decree. We can say this is money, this piece of paper is money. Now money has a new characteristic, but underneath it all, there's this same concept in place that nobody ever seems to challenge, and that is that governments have a right to declare something of no value to be money, and you must accept it. That's really the problem, and it's still the problem today. It's destroying the economies of the world.
Hyperinflation may be one of several scenarios facing the world today, but history has shown us that whenever a nation tried to run its economy using an artificial fiat system, the end result is always the same: disaster.
There is a proven 100% failure rate. There is no exception to this. Fiat currencies always fail. And then 40 years ago, we tried this grand experiment where all the world's currencies became fiat at the same time, when we ended the Bretton Woods system.
The world is going to have to extricate itself from this monetary system based on the dollar, because if you want to back your currency, you have to back it with something. You can't back it with nothing. You always think of that old Superman movie where the first one where Lois Lane, she falls off the top of the building and Superman catches her. And he says, I got you. Don't worry, I got you. And she says, well, you got me. Who's got you? Well, that's the dollar. Who's got the dollar? It's not Superman. The dollar can't fly on its own. The dollar used to be backed by gold. It was gold that had the dollar. It's like everybody has tethered their ships to the Titanic of currencies. And so we're all going to go down.
The government wants to sell you paper. So I would say it's the government and Wall Street.
Gold in the hands of people is the way you control government. Governments cannot create money out of thin air. If it's gold, they can only create paper out of thin air. And if they can create paper out of thin air, they can use that paper to wage wars, or they can use that paper as a political contrivance to enrich their friends. And as a consequence, governments have been fighting gold all century long.
It's not that the price of gold is going up. It's that the value of the dollar is going down. The price remains constant in terms of human effort and purchasing power. An ounce of gold today will buy the same thing it bought 2,000 years ago. An ounce of gold today is approximately takes so much human effort to get out and refine the same human effort that it took to do certain things 2,000 years ago. It's the human effort equation that maintains stability. How much effort does it take?
Gold is financial insurance. And the thing about it is you own it because you want to be protected. And, you just have to have it if you want to have or sleep at night, because there's nothing else. If some catastrophic event happens, and we've seen them, how are you going to be protected?
Thank you, Dr. Kim. That was awesome. Appreciate you. Thank you for helping. So how did that hit everybody? What was the thing that kind of hit you the most, do you think? The first time I watched
I have a question.
Sorry, honey.
I have a question.
Yes.
So just that last piece, like you said, if some catastrophic event happens, you know, basically you have gold. But how does that, you know, if, say you've got a gold bullion and you're hiding under your mattress, how does that help you in a catastrophic event? Like, you know, if the value of money drops out, how does having gold help?
Well, first of all, very good question. And the only way that I can really answer that is by past history. That anytime there was an economic collapse, and the most recent one, as we know, is Venezuela from 20 years ago, which you can't even, the paper money is, they don't even use it for, it's not even worth wallpaper anymore. And then of course, if you go back even further in history, we all know that the only ones who ever survived an economic collapse, and that include the Soviet Union back in the 80s, were the ones that held precious metals and jewels. They're the only ones, because the one thing that we have learned is everybody accepts that. Everybody will accept this as value, real value. The whole fiat thing has just been exactly what they talk about. It's a currency by force. The government deems what it is worth. So by going off the gold-backed standard, you have now opened the floodgate for government spending, so zero discipline. And it's very, very relevant today, obviously, sadly. Very relevant today, the amount of printing that's been going on. And when I first watched this video, the one thing there was two things that stood out for me. I'll just tell you what mine were, and I don't know if they are yours, but the first thing is when they were explaining why they went off the gold back, but then President Nixon standing there, his reason was, we've done this because of the speculators. It had nothing to do with the speculators. The speculators kept them in check, right? So he flat out lied, is basically what he did. Okay. Number two, that really is so true to this day, and history, is that when he says everybody has tethered themselves to the Titanic unknowingly, because we have been forced into a monetary system thinking that this has value, and it doesn't. And it's really difficult for people to understand inflation. I'll be honest, I mean, I didn't really understand it. I mean, my brain understood it, but lifestyle is another thing. So the best way that I can describe inflation is that this used to be, in 1965, the same as this. This is a 1 ounce American Eagle, silver eagle. In 1965, this had the same buying power. This was worth $1. This was worth $1. Okay. In 1965, if you had 2,500 ounces, so 2,500 of these, you could go buy yourself a Ford Mustang. $2,500 of these bought a Ford Mustang. $2,500 of these bought a Ford Mustang. Fast forward, $2,500 of these don't even buy you the tires. 2,500 of these buy you 2 Mustangs. So what you have, it's not so much the actual intrinsic value that's going up, it's the buying power behind it. So basically, this is worth about that. Your buying power is about a nickel, and I'm being generous when I say that, by the way. I think it's worth less than that now, quite honestly. So it takes you 35 of these babies to have one of these now, basically. And that's the issue. You have, back in the 60s, and I remember, I mean, only one parent had to work and you had a pretty decent life. Now you got to have two people work, both parents working, and you're still behind the 8 ball. There's still this constant stress of trying to keep up. So it comes down to the power of your buying power. So that's the difference between money and currency, is your buying power. So when you get into an inflationary state that we're in right now, your buying power is going down rapidly. And they're saying it's 7%. But if you actually look at the numbers, things have gone up 100%, 150%, 50. I mean, it's just outlandish, the amount of percentages that have gone up for your, to pay for things. Not sure where they get all their data from, but I'm sure they're really good at squishing the numbers to shoot the narrative. The fact of the matter is that we're the ones that have to walk into the store to buy our milk. And it's taking a lot more to do that. So I really love that question. Thank you, Lisa. We've actually tested that, believe it or not. Obviously you can't walk into a big box store and say, hey, we take this, but if you go into an everyday shop, like a mom and pop shop, they go, would you take that? They go, oh yeah. Right. Oh yeah, we take that. So just test it. I mean, it's an amazing thing. What else did you get out of that, listening to that video? Anybody?
The dollar is the dollar is about power.
Yeah.
For those in power, it's about them holding on to their power and controlling us.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because what it is that it no longer, there's no insurance. There's nothing backing it anymore, right? So really, when you hold this, which is very real, you now have, this is insurance. This is insurance. I'm going to share something with you too. Dr. Kim, I saw that you wanted to say something.
I was a little confused about the last man who spoke on the video when he talked about, if I was watching it myself, I'd go back and listen to it again, but I think he said it doesn't cost any more now than it did before to mine the gold, which I can't fathom how that's true, to be honest.
Manpower is really what it comes down to. So because we pay more to get it out of the ground, that's why the value of the gold has gone up, right? Because the cost to get it out goes up, but at the same time, relevant to the time, this is my understanding, just saying.
Okay.
Back, let's say 1,000 years, we paid so much for manpower to do X. So it's kind of like the same thing. We're paying so much manpower for X. So it's kind of an equal thing. So that's why he's saying the buying power of what you could buy 2,000 years ago with that gold coin will buy you the same thing now.
Okay, except the price of gold does fluctuate.
Yep.
I mean, it's at a high now. I just looked it up, this 20, 30-year chart. It's almost at the highest it's been ever since they were tracking.
Yeah. I think the highest it's been actually is about $2,000, I think. I think that was last year or sometime. I have to go back.
Yeah, right now it's 1,840.
Yeah, it had a wee bit of a jump here in the last 24 hours.
Are you watching it daily?
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I can't help it because my husband's on Bloomberg every day. So it's like a running chart amongst other things. But yeah, this is the whole idea behind the whole reason why the wealthy. Okay, so this is what that poster that I made, it says, do what, I forget what did I write? Did it say? Do what 99% don't do, right? Do the thing that 99% don't do. And what is that? They don't hold gold and silver. Kiyosaki's been talking about buying gold and silver. He says, the reason why I'm wealthy is because I hold God's money. I don't hold this, he even says it flat out. He says, I don't hold this fake stuff. And he says, every wealthy person in the world doesn't either. Did you know that? I learned something this week. Do you want to know how much working capital the wealthy actually have in their little mitts? Does anybody want to take a guess? What percentage of working capital that they have? This is considered working capital.
5%.
Sorry?
5%.
You nailed it. 5%. I was shocked. And what did they teach us to do? Go put your money in the bank. Go get that money in the bank. Go save it up. Get in there. Did you also know that the money in the bank that you use to save your money no longer belongs to you? Did you know that?
What does that mean?
I just learned that too. You have given them permission. You're using their bank account. It's actually not your bank account. It's their bank account.
The banks here can close an account anytime they choose, and if they're going under, they can take your money.
Bingo. That's exactly right. This has been a racket for a very long time, unbeknownst to us, right?
They deregulated the banks here in the 80s, and it was the worst thing they ever did.
Well, again, very purposeful, right? You know,
Yeah.
Always feeding us into a system that has nothing to do for our benefit
whatsoever. And yet we can't hold a job, we can't exist without a bank account.
Yeah.
You can't get paid if you don't have a bank account, and you need money to live.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. I actually experienced this yesterday. I opened my app to check my account. It was $231 less than the day before. I'm like, I didn't use this account. What happened? And I checked, and they actually took that money because my former husband had, I guess, reneged on a credit card, and they found that money in an old joint account that we had and just took it. They just took it. And if I'd had $2,000 in there, they would have taken it. I mean, I was like, this is, they didn't
This
ask.
is so wrong on so many levels, right? There's
right.
Perfect point. Exactly. So one thing that we've learned is that, and something else that we learned during these conversations when I've had some special guests come in, is that the banks don't tell you that they collect does everybody know the biggest holders of gold and precious metals, gold and silver? The biggest holders
are banks.
Banks and government. They're hoarding and collecting while they're shoving us into this.
That you want to look into the companies Vanguard and BlackRock as well. I think you'll find they have a great proportion of them.
Right? Okay, very good. So I know that I'm dealing with a very, very intelligent crowd. But here's something that it was really fascinating to me. Curtis, who's also in my upline in 7K, he has a story to tell you about his father. Some of you may not remember about when the government took away farmers' land. I don't know if it was a big outcry. We won't get into the whole story, but the point with this is what he learned. It was a really traumatic point for him to really look at what this whole financial world was about and what banks were all about, right? He learned that when he opened up his construction company, he needed a line for $250,000. He shared it. I can speak this because he shared it on one of our masterminds. This is what he learned, because he got into gold and silver, obviously. So he learned, the banks won't tell you this, but do you know when you go in for a loan, they always want collateral, correct? They always want collateral. And you know, it's never one-to-one. No, right? They want a lot of collateral. So Curtis had to put up 5 million in assets for $250,000. So he had to put up all of his machinery. He later then learned, you're going to love this. If he had $250,000 in precious metals, he could have done one-to-one. Isn't that interesting? They don't tell you that.
Wow.
Right? Now, why is that? Because they understand real money. That's why. So that just gives you a little bit of a background on how powerful gold and silver is and how important it is. So really what we're talking about today is really protecting yourself from bad government decisions and economic collapse. So it's really important to have some gold or precious metal silver in your arsenal, in your portfolio for such things. In the 7K membership, there is an education part in there. It's called the buyer certification. And it teaches you and shows you and explains to you the different types of precious metals you would look at depending on what type of an investor you are. So the different categories are like you either doing it for hedging. So there's certain, because people always ask me, Tony, what should I buy? And I go, well, I'm not a financial advisor, but first of all, I can't really tell you because I don't know what kind of an investor you are, because there's really kind of 5 areas. You want to it's either for hedging, which is for a strong defense. Obviously, this is for a strong defense. Okay. The other thing is you want wealth accumulation, wealth protection, portfolio diversification. Okay. And coin collecting. And that's where the other aspect of this gets very interesting, is in the offense of wealth legacy. So people don't know about this because the average person has never been able to kind of get into the club, as they say. But the 5 things that the wealthy do, according to Inc. magazine, the 5 top investments that the wealthy do for family legacy. Okay, you're going to love this. What do you think the first one is? What do you think one of them is for wealth legacy?
Gold?
Property.
Sorry, property. Real estate is number 1. Number 2, somebody said gold. Yeah, gold was number 4. No, yes, number 4. Number 2, fine art. Number 3, rare coins. 4 gold and 5 precious metals. So out of 5 of those, 7K, our membership has 4. And everybody says, well, Tony, where's the fine art come in? Well, our little masterpieces have become like little Mona Lisas in the world of collectability. And so have our gold notes and silver notes. And one of them is a new artist that just came in. His name is Tom Holden, who did the roots of humanity in all stained glass. It took 5 years. You should see that. It's incredible. So it's an amazing, it's a beautiful story to listen to, first of all, but people don't really think about, I didn't have any idea about, and I'm a collector, and I didn't have any idea the power behind collecting some of these coins. And so in the 7K Metals membership, you learn about that. You learn about the type of investor you are, what you should be looking, for your portfolio. They also have a collector certification. That alone in itself is worth gold, no pun intended. As you all know, when we empower ourselves with this knowledge, this is how we protect ourselves. And in my world, we're all at the stage where we need some of this to protect what we've already earned. It's not like we're, just starting out in life. I've got 14-year-olds now that are collecting and saving in silver and gold. They're smart. I wish I was that smart. So that's the other story. I always tell people, do you know what the $1.2 million mistake is that we all made? I can say that because we're all in that kind of age bracket. Well, you're too young, Jillian, but the $1.2 million mistake that they didn't tell us is that if you went out and bought an American Eagle, now I'm not talking about the kind that get circulated, like this is just the kind that you can touch, but the kind that go in what they call a numismatic case like this, where they call it uncirculated and it's all graded with a barcode and it's, perfect. Oh, here comes Callie. It's what they call a perfect graded coin. It's an MS-70 and you'll learn about the different grades. If you had bought one of these every month, if you bought one of those every month in 1985, so you started in 1985, okay, you went into 2020, it would have cost you around 40K US, depending on where you bought it and all that kind of stuff, but it could be as much as 50. So I'm not going to kid you, it's between 40 and 50. Okay. That whole collection is now worth 1.2 million. God's money never goes out of style or value. It just keeps going up. So it's really interesting how much we've been pushed into this system of save this, save this, save this, and yet it's gotten less and less and less and less as far as buying power goes. And yeah, we've just learned a lot. I've learned a lot. It's been an extraordinary journey, and I hope you can tell I'm really excited to share it with all of you. And thank you so much for being open to listening, and for all your great questions too. So I will do more, of course.
Tony, I have a couple questions because I've heard like 10% of this before. So you keep saying membership. So can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so as you all know, being in Noble Goldman, we have different companies that we offer if you're interested in different opportunities. And one of the opportunities just happens to be, for the first time ever, to have a membership in a gold and silver company, which is 7K Metals. So 7K Metals offers a membership. It's kind of like getting a membership at Costco. You know, you get a membership at Costco, you get the better prices. And that's basically what it is. When you become a member of 7K, you have dealer direct pricing, and you have access to not just buying precious metals, but also other benefits, as well as we also have storage. We also have the Sound Money wallet for buying fractional amounts of gold and silver at all minimums or maximums, no minimums. Because in most places you have to buy a whole. In order to buy, you have to buy like a whole coin. With your Sound Money wallet, with your membership, we even did a penny. Somebody did a penny, you could buy a penny worth. It's pretty cool, right? So it's been a really great way to save, because really what it's about saving. So instead of saving this, you start saving that, is basically what it comes down. It's about disciplining towards real money instead of fiat. So you're taking your fiat and you're exchanging it for gold and silver. That's why the other thing that they offer in the benefits program, which is great for the Americans, is that they've got a healthcare plan as well that they offer. They also offer IRA, gold-backed IRAs to help you transition from your fiat IRAs into gold-back. And of course, bar none, the education, we also have a discount program. And when I say discount program, like for everyday buying stuff, which also includes travel eventually.
Sorry, I've got to go. I've got to jump off.
Okay, Lisa, thank you. So you get to choose on that too. So there's a lot of other benefits other than just buying precious metals. There's just a ton of stuff in there. And I show you that video. It's 20 minutes long, but it is on the freedomgoldrush.com. It was the very first one that Dr. Kim pulled up. So that one's 20 minutes long. You're more than welcome to watch it. And it explains all about inflation, the car, the whole shebang. But it also explains a little bit about the membership and some of the benefits you get in there. So,
and what is the company backed by?
Roger Ball. He's one of the owners. There's 4 owners, and he was their money guy. He's a billionaire with a B, and he also owns 5 silver mines.
Okay,
so he actually, and that's not an easy feat, by the way, for you to have a relationship with the mines. So he actually supplies silver to one of the mints. They also have a relationship. There's 5 countries they have a relationship with. And our partner is NGC, which is the #1 grading company. The NGC that grades all the collectible coins from around the world. That's our partner. NGC, Noble Goldman Community. Yeah. Noble Gold. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of synergistic there. Yep. I can't help myself. I'm all about the signs, you see.
Me too.
Right. So I've got so when this came to me, with the Noble Goldman, I thought, oh, Noble Gold. And then we got the vault in Noble Goldman, and we got the vault over in 7K. And then we got the NGC. I said, oh yeah. I said, I'm all over this. So it's been a wonderful journey of learning, and I'm just really excited to share it with a lot of people. It's been fabulous. I really have learned so much, Jillian. It's been so empowering. It really has. I even shared it with, my husband started to finally get it too. To be that cash heavy is not good. To be that cash heavy is not good, especially now during these inflationary times, and it's just not worth it. And this is just me, but I believe that there will be an economic collapse. It's inevitable. And I'm hedging for that. So I've prepared myself with the gold and silver, and because we have unlimited access to purchasing, no maximums in the Sound Money wallet, which is fantastic. It's never been done before. You've never been able to buy fractional buying. So, and so they're very heavily audited, by the way, extremely heavily audited. This is a very new area for the average person to finally have access to the same privileges that the wealth have had. They created this company for the everyday person. And I just couldn't be more excited to get more people empowered through it. So thank you for that. I can't wait for you to meet the people. Like the owners will just blow your mind. The integrity will just blow your mind. They're just so heart-centered.
That's a big thing for me. Integrity is everything.
Huge. And that's the whole reason why I'm doing it. And wait till you meet the people that I'm involved with, my sponsors. They're just lovely. I think Kim, you got to meet them, didn't you? Did you meet Mark and Danielle? Were they? Oh, okay. Well, I can't remember. They've come on a couple of times, but yeah. So they're incredible. They've left companies because of the lack of integrity, just so you know.
Awesome.
Yeah. Amazing.
I just need to check on my kids 1 second.
No problem. Hello, Callie. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry, we're just finishing up. But I'm happy to share the replay. Dr. Kim helped me because my computer wouldn't share.
Hi. Yeah, if there's a replay, that would be good.
Yeah, no, we have a replay for you, honey. It was just a little conversation that, just kind of describing real money, fake money, just to get some, foundation in. We didn't really get into the whole company and stuff like that because I didn't share the video, but the video can be found on freedomgoldrush.com as far as learning about the actual company too. So, but I really wanted to just give some information about, really how much we've been, snowed. We've been duped, basically, in my humble opinion.
Well, why? I never thought I'd be interested in gold and silver, to be honest, and I wasn't until about 10 days ago. But I've been thinking, with all the cyber attacks, my money is at Bank of America. Bank of America goes through some cyber attack. How am I ever going to get my money? Anything these days with cyber from wherever, doesn't matter what country attacks us, could destroy all kinds of records. And I thought about the people who invested with Bernie Madoff, and then they went to get their money and it wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And then yesterday when that $230 some was just taken out of my account, I
can't believe it.
Tony, you can use that as an example. Just don't mention my name.
No, I won't.
I need to wake up and find $230 some less for an account that was closed like 8 years ago. I mean, just think of that. Just think of that. So that was enough kind of spurring me in this direction.
But it's true, right? I mean, that's really disturbing when you think about it. Like it's invasive. It's just completely invasive. It's a total, this is the whole thing. This is why they've been talking about this for a long time. You've got to start taking your power back in every aspect of life. That means your shelter, your food, your monetary system, everything. We have been so plugged into systems that we think we have the control over, and we don't. There's a perfect example. And we think it's our money. It's not if you read the fine print. I also shared something that was very shocking to some other people. Again, I'm not an expert, but I've heard this enough now. Do you know that if you ever have paid any debt off with this, fiat, the debt is still really legally not done. Did you know that? And the example that I will use is your home. If you have paid your mortgage off with this, in the very fine print, because you did not pay with it with silver or gold, they could still take your property. You think you own the property. You don't own the property. All you did was pay off the leasing agreement.
Never heard that.
Find out how many wealthy pay for their properties in gold and silver. You'd be shocked. Trump did. They don't teach us these things. This is the reason why the Queen, this is why all of us Commonwealth countries, and my New Zealanders and my Aussies will appreciate this, okay? This is why the Queen was the richest person, I'll use that word very lightly, on the planet, because she has, the whole monarchy has been raping and pillaging those countries beyond belief. There's a reason why she's running around in a gold carriage, by the way. Okay. They have been sticking it to us for a very long time, funneling us into this forced fiat, while they have been behind the scenes collecting what really is real money. Okay. Nobody taught us this in school. You know, this is the other thing Danielle said. She said, I was a school teacher for 14 years. They never taught us this stuff. And I didn't teach it to my kids either, for heaven's sakes. We didn't know this stuff. No, of course not. Right? Well, the cat's out of the bag now.
They teach us at school is how to get a job, pay our taxes, and die.
Yeah. How thrilling. Oh, I'm so excited. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Right? But this is what's so important, is that, like, you know, like Dr. Kim said, they can just come in and what's up with that? Right? Because we think it's ours. It's not ours. Right? You're just borrowing it. You've come in and you've asked us, you've asked to use our facility. Remember how they used to say 90%, what is it? 90% possession is the law, or something like that. Possession is 90% of the law. So, yeah,
9/10 of the law. Yeah.
9/10 of the law. Yeah. There you go. Right? Something like that.
I'm in the process of like getting my house ready for sale at the moment, and this has changed everything I want to do now. I think maybe I'll take that money and invest it in gold and silver, and when I've got enough, buy the property I want then.
Bingo. That's exactly.
Thank you. This is like an aha moment. It's like life-changing.
Yay! Exactly. Well, and again, I'm not an expert, and if you we can do another session if you like, and I'll bring Mark and Danielle on. They're just so amazing. They're just so amazing. Or maybe Curtis or somebody else as well who has got a lot more experience and knowledge. But like I said, I'm learning still, and I'm excited to share with it. That buyer certification inside the membership is fantastic, and to be able to go on this journey to keep empowering people is, well, it lights me up, and that's what it's about. It's about linking arms and hearts together so that we can all thrive instead of just the chosen few.
Yeah. I would love to be part of that meeting. I've actually got shivers. I know it's right.
Yay. Thanks, Jillian. I'll keep you posted, hun. If not, we can also do a private Zoom with Mark and Danielle as well. So they're so good about stuff like that. They're just so good about stuff like that.
It'll probably be a few months before I can sell my house. I've got a lot to do with it, but
it's stepping stone, because now you have a plan, right? That's the thing. Now there's a plan in place. And in the meantime, you know, you slowly start to move some of that fiat into something that's a little bit more tangible. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit, right? And like my one girlfriend came in with her and her husband, they both got a membership so they could purposely move their IRA into the gold back. They had it all done. And I think Mark and Danielle did the same thing too, all gold back now. Very powerful. It's really important. You know, you've got to protect what you've already earned before it like just kind of, you know. I've been tagging people in the gold. Yeah, I've been tagging people in the Facebook group. There's a really good article in there by Lynette Zhang. She's a YouTube gal. She's just fabulous. It's about a 20-minute video, and she talks about, you know, how this whole thing is just, she said something in there when she says, well, who's going to get hurt from this? She says, the masses. It's always the masses. And in my humble opinion, what happened in 2008 is going to be but a flea on the back of an elephant's butt compared to what they've been getting ready for, because the crisis in 2008 was just shelter. What we're looking at now is global and is way beyond just shelter, mortgage paper, way beyond.
The whole world is changing with COVID and everything. The whole world's in a state of chaos. And it's only a matter of time till the whole thing collapses.
Yep. Now, the good news is that we all know, the people who are here, that the light has won. We all know that. But there still needs to be a cleanup on aisle 17. Clean up aisle 17. So I have hedged my bets for the collapse. This is just me. This is not financial advice. This is what I have done and am doing currently. I have hedged my fiat into precious metals. Okay, so I'm ready. I only need 5% working capital. That's all I need. Okay, nothing else needs to go anywhere else. I pulled everything out of stocks, all of it. And then if it, you know, when the time comes, I have, you know, my assets, my tangible real money assets. Okay, if there's a collapse, I've got a tremendous amount of buying power, right? A tremendous amount of buying power. And when the dust all settles and we know that we're going back to gold back, we know that, it's a win-win. I win over here through the trials and tribulations, and I win when we come out rising out of the ashes. Either way. That's just me.
What's the difference between like gold and silver and cryptocurrency? Why is gold and silver better than cryptocurrency?
Tangible. There's only one money, and that's God's money. That's it. People think, you know, Kiyosaki does talk about Bitcoin. The reason why he likes Bitcoin is because it has a limited supply, right? Whereas the fiat has got this unlimited supply because they took it off of the gold back. So they're on this like printing craze, right? So there's just, they can go to infinite. So digital assets, as you know, I have digital assets. I've been in digital assets for 5 years. There's nothing wrong with digital assets. The problem that we have is that we don't know which ones will be staying and which ones will be leaving. Okay. What people don't understand is, like, you know, people, oh, cryptocurrency is so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. Okay. What they're confusing is the money part with the actual technology. So blockchain technology is phenomenal. Blockchain technology evens out the playing field, right? Because it gives a whole, it's not centralized, so it's not manipulated. Does that make sense? Right? We're in a decentralized where we can all see, they all talk to each other and we all see what's going on. In this centralized world, we know that there's been a lot of interesting things going on that we're not privy to. Right? So there's been a lot of technology that's been developed to solve a lot of problems in our world, a ton of problems, amazing utility to those blockchains that have been created. So attached to those blockchains are sometimes what they call a coin or a token, okay? But what's happened is you get a lot of other tokens attaching themselves to all these different blockchains. We call it layer one, that don't make any sense whatsoever. So in my humble opinion, they're just kind of a fad, they'll go away. But make no mistake, digital assets are here. It's just a question of which one is actually staying and which one's actually going, right? So,
okay, so if you hadn't invested in blockchain before, and you're in a in a position now to invest for the first time, would you invest in gold and silver, or would you invest in blockchain?
Gold and silver right now. Only because in this moment right now is just so relevant with what's going on in the world with the inflation. Because gold has always been the asset class for inflation, always. We're really at that time in the number one position of hedging your bets against bad economic cracks and government decisions. So that's basically, we're right in that number one column right now. The stuff that happens later, as you learn in the buyer certification, is some of the other things, about, accumulation and diversification and other precious, other styles of precious metals you might be interested in, like collecting. I never thought I'd get into collecting. Daniel kept telling me, oh, Tony, don't talk to me about the numismatics. Just give me to the gold and silver, But I'll tell you, all of a sudden, your mind just opens up, as you know, when you start to be open to just learning a little bit more. You kind of go, oh, I really cut myself off from something, didn't I? I said, I better take another look at that. So again, it's not for everybody. I love it because when you can collect, something that is absolutely perfect. Okay, this MS70, they only do the MS70s. There's something really special about that, and you pay more for the collectibles, obviously, because there's a story behind it. You'll learn about all that stuff. But just think about it. It's not a piece of paper. So maybe the silver is only $35, but what happens when silver goes up? Right? Silver's always the precious metals will always go up at some point in time. They always have. They have for 5,000 years, 2,000 years, or whatever, when man finally decided to make something out of them. But so I just love it. For me, this is long-term legacy. I'm saving it for our son. I collect the Americana. I collect a lot of the Americana stuff for our son because he's American. So yeah, because he doesn't like the pottery. So I thought, okay, well, I'll get into gold and silver. How's that work for you? He goes, yeah, no, that works for me. Kids, Actually, we have quite a few teenagers that have memberships now. I think I mentioned that. They're really getting into it. They think it's just cool, like really cool. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I have to jump off for now. Bedtime.
Okay. Yes,
Thank you so much.
very late for you.
Blessings, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. Thank you for your help. Really appreciate it.
Wait, let me say good night. Good night.
Good night.
Love you, Jillian. Love you, Callie. Love you, Tony.
Love you too. We'll talk tomorrow. Thank you.
Good night. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Callie, did you have any questions, honey? I know that you were rushing off of another meeting. So
No, I'm fine. I've got too many things with the kids, and of course I'm meant to be on for 3 weeks that I forgot. Only just so I've been a bit busy, but I'll look at your video, whatever you recorded. That'll do.
Well, I've got other videos in there from our, my Friday morning calls, which is of course very early in the morning for you guys, but I have my recordings all on my Mojo Lifestyle YouTube channel. They're all there from my past Friday ones as well.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'll do this one too. This was just a casual meeting. It's all good.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Jillian, are you all good?
Yep. Thank you. That was absolutely awesome.
Good. I'm glad. I'm really glad I could help. Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to share this with all of you in the community. And it's time we take our power back, girl.
That's it.
I mean, we're doing it in many ways, but this arena counts too, right?
Yeah, the financial arena is the last place I've got to get my act together.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we all do. And baby steps.
That's it.
Okay.
Everything happens in its own time. It doesn't have to be yesterday.
No, it does not have to be.
Or even next week for that matter, just when it happens.
Exactly. Thank you so much for showing up and your questions, and you've always had delightful energy, and I'm glad to see that you're doing well. You look great.
Thank you.
You look really
amazing too. It's always lovely to see you. I love your energy as well.
Okay, honey. Good night.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.